Hi guys, welcome back. My name is Rhea and I am your lovely host for today's video. So today is March 14th, you guys, and welcome to episode 8 of the Road to Millionaire Status series that I'm running here on this channel. I actually had another video prepared for you guys, but I filmed it right now. It is 6:30 in the morning. The last video that I filmed was like 3 days ago, and it was at 6:20 in the morning, and I was editing the video and everything, and then I noticed throughout the entire video, like, I was super ashy all in my face and it just looked horrid. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not just gonna come to y'all any kind of way, So I was like, whatever. It was a rather short video anyway, so I could just add or repeat what I was saying in there and here. But honestly, I'm making today's video all about that anyway, so it doesn't even matter. So welcome to episode 8. Like I said, it is 6:30 in the morning, and today we are going to talk about change. And what I want to speak on when it comes to change is how we tend to deal with it. So there are people who notices change taking its course, and they'll either immediately start planning for what could be next, or they could be hesitant about it, but still, be a little bit more cautious, but like pretty much list out the pros and cons of staying complacent versus the pros and cons of changing as well. Or they will all in all just be like, I'm not changing a damn thing. I am the way I am, blah, 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 It's great to know or to hear a story of all of these types of people and all of these different personalities and seeing how they cope with change, because it forces you to think who you are. It forces you to acknowledge who you are and how you deal with change and fix that, if it needs to be fixed, or change that if it needs to be changed. And if you are somebody who just thinks that you cope with change, trust me, I just ran into somebody yesterday who said, I deal with change perfectly fine, yet you're not changing. So it's like, oh, I know exactly the kind of person that you are now, just because of your refusal to even be open-minded to change. So, what brought this topic is, last week I spoke on, in episode 7, I spoke on having a business meeting. And I did have said business meeting. And in the meeting, the young lady that I met with explained or showed me this book called Who Moved My Cheese, and she wanted me to read it for her company. And like for a few days I did not want to read the book at all. She's like, it's really short, the words are like this big. And then she like showed me the middle of the book or whatever, and she was like, and there are pictures and blah, 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 blah. But I was like so against it. I didn't want to read another book, because I'm like, I'm in 2 different book series right now. Like, I don't want to add a book to that. And then she was like, and you have 4 days to read it. I was like, ain't you giving me a time limit? Like, I'm just not going to do it. So, the day before, actually, I was going to go meet her. So, on day 3, I decided to read the book, and lo and behold, if I don't say that this book was life-changing for me, then I would be lying. So I read the book in like an hour and a half before I had to go to work. Literally put the book down and got dressed and left and went to work. So short story, get straight to the point. But what I loved about it was, the different characters and then relating myself to those different characters to see, okay, what characteristics I have that I like, what characteristics do I have that I don't like when it comes to change, which character I want to be more like when it comes to change, and taking the steps and guidelines in the story to heart so that I can apply them to my daily life. And the reason this is so important is because you have to change your mindset to be on the road to, to becoming a millionaire. You have to be a lot more disciplined. You're gonna have to get uncomfortable. You're gonna have to, quit that basic job that only pays you $9 an hour just so you can get better opportunities, just so that you can have more opportunities available to you to make so much more income and be so much more appreciated elsewhere. And you can't do that if you don't change, So at the time that I finished reading, I started thinking immediately oh, this is who I am. Or this character explains pretty much most of me, but I have characteristics of all of them. But this one character is the one. I'm sorry, y'all. My dogs are making my allergies go haywire right now. It's the beginning of spring. They shed every day. They go outside and they play for hours, and then they bring all of their pet dander back in the house. And even though we just deep cleaned the house yesterday and I got up most of the fur, I didn't give the dogs baths. And so now, the moment I walked in the house last night, and my eye just got super red and it's super itchy, and I'm trying not to rub it, so just lightly press on it. Hopefully that does something. But anywho, that's besides the point. So the way we cope with change, I have the book right here. It's called Who Moved My Cheese by Spencer Johnson. Super short. It's technically two things happening at once. It's a whole ass conversation first, and then it's the actual story, and then the conversation continues after the story. So if you want to read the conversations or what have you, be my guest. If you want to just read the story, go right on ahead. There's something to be learned from all of it, but the conversation is 7 or 8 people or something like that, and they're all talking about what they learned or didn't learn or who they are in the book and stuff like that. So it's really helpful to see multiple points of view, because they have discussions about applying what they learned to life, business, anything. So, because change happens in all aspects of life, right? So that's what I really wanted to discuss today. And then I have a little story on how I ended up applying this to my life immediately after reading it. So like I said earlier, after reading it, I already pretty much knew which character I was, but what characteristics I had of the others. And so then life just kind of decided to test me on that theory, and an opportunity presented itself where big change for me was going to happen. I don't know if I want to speak too in detail about it right now, or if I want to wait to expose the full story on when my coworker and I would launch our new project. It's super, super important as far as change goes, and it was super monumental for me. You know what? I'm a wait on it, but I'll give y'all a little something. Oh, Lord, that's the mic. I'll give y'all a little song. Okay, so I went, or I read the book, and then I had done something for someone, and the agreement was they were gonna do all of it, and then afterwards I went ahead and did half so that they didn't have to do all of it. And you'll know what it is when I speak on it later. But so I did half without saying anything, and then like, because this person was bragging about, whatever, and so I did that. I did the half, and I let a few days go by, and then I eventually said, all right, because they just weren't trying to do what they were supposed to do. I was like, well, I already did half of it, so you only have halfway to go. And so this person has it's now been like a week and a half since this has happened. This person has yet to do what they were supposed to do originally. Not only that, but everything was cut in half. So, but they are living their best lives elsewhere. And so I'm like, okay, so I tell you. And so I was venting to Gunnar about it. And he was like, all right, well, how about, and then he just came up with a plan that required big change in my life. And I was just like, like, we'll see, I guess, And then the next morning at 5, when he was getting ready to leave, he asked again, like, okay, so do you want to do such and such today? And I was like, we'll see. And so then when he came home, he asked again, or actually he didn't ask, he was just like, okay, let's go. And so I was like, okay, like, there's no harm in asking questions or acquiring information, right? So I go and we acquire that information. Turns out everything is like laid out perfectly fine to where, like, all I have to do is say yes to the change, and like we'd be in and out, all I have to do is say yes to the change, and then the change is done. It takes its place. I don't have to do anything special. Everything just literally, all the puzzle pieces fit perfectly. It's just, I just have to be willing to make said change. Now, granted, this change is very big and monumental in my life. It has a lot to do with personal growth, and it has extremely a lot to do with letting go of your immaturity in the sense of age as an actual child, and letting go of or severing that type of bond that you have with a parent, to where it's more like you are no, it's like a high school graduation kind of. You're a student to your teacher, and that person will always be known to you as your teacher, but now you have to take all of the lessons that you learned and apply them in your next phase of life. That's what I'm talking about. It's that kind of change, and it was very, very hard for me, but honestly, it was super worth it in the end. But all I had to do was say yes to the change. And I was like, honestly, I'm so glad that I read the book right before then, because I started thinking about said change, and I was thinking like, okay, so what are my options? I went with a list that I learned in the book, figured out how I was gonna apply all of those lessons to just this one change, and I was like, okay, so who is it that I said that I wanted to be like in the book? All right, well, what did this person do when change arrived? When change started to present itself, what did this character start doing? All right, and then what was the list? What was on the list? What stands out to you the most? What do you remember from the top of your head? The first thing, go. And then I said the phrase, move with the cheese. And that's exactly what I did. So then I started applying what I learned to my life And honestly, it's the best decision that I've ever made since reading the book. Granted, it was also the first decision that I made since reading the book. So but I feel like it snowballed into something else, because then I started taking more accountability in my life. We've been doing this for 8 weeks, so for 2 months straight, right? And I am just now, yesterday, I started giving out business cards at my job, and just sliding them in a bag here and there, and I just took a handful of cards with me, but I literally gave away all of the business cards except for one. Except for one. I don't know how one remained, but I ended up giving away all of my business cards. My makeup artist cards, actually. So, and I wore my makeup yesterday so that I could have something to, advertise. Just the eyes, and then I had the forehead done. The forehead and the eyes. So, but honestly, only doing like the foundation and whatever on the forehead helps a lot when I pull down the rest of my mask. And like take pictures and stuff, because you can see that my foundation matches, the concealer matches, blah, 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 blah. And so then it's like, you can trust me, because you can hardly tell that I even have on makeup on my forehead compared to the rest of my face. So yeah, but it's these, I feel like what I did snowballed into that, so making that decision to move with the cheese snowballed into me actually moving with the cheese, and not just settling for the cheese that I have now, but trying to find more cheese so that when this cheese runs out, I already have, you get what I'm saying? Like, I've accomplished one thing, but I have someplace else to go. So I've made it to destination A, but I still have the rest of the alphabet to get to. So whilst I am in destination A right now, or I started off in A. So I've already made it to destination B then. And whilst I'm in B, I'm going to learn what I can here. But in the meantime, I'm also going to find the different directions to destination C so that we can get that check, honey. Okay? And same all the way through Z, and then we start over next year. You know what I mean? So it's like, or, whenever, the cycle continues. Change is never ending. So constantly changing, constantly growing. That's what I made this series about. And honestly, this has been the biggest moment I feel in this series that I've had thus far. Yeah. Aside from like the realization one in like episode 6 or something. But I feel like this one is where I start really, really, really making more progress. As far as stocks and stuff going, I think all the numbers are the same. Actually, Stash went up to like 142. That's about it. That's the only one that changed. The other two are wherever they are. So that's what's happening with that. Gunner's really into day trading right now. He's doing the simulators. So he's not trading with like real money, because it's the practice rounds before you actually get into day trading. So he's trying to do day trading. And he really wants me to get into it. I'm like, dude, I work 11 to 7. I don't have time for that. So but I'm proud of him for doing that, for even taking the time out to learn a new skill. I'm still learning Korean. So there's that as well, because we're trying to get better. Okay, better at everything possible. Okay. Also, I quilt. I've been quilting for a while now. Well, I've been sewing and making clothes for a while. I just got serious about quilting not too long ago. But yeah, that's all. I do what I want when I want and when I can. Have fun with it. My contact info is down below. So if you want me to make you something, because remember I knit too. So if you want me to make you something, just hit me up. If you want me to do your makeup, just hit me up. If you want to follow my Instagram, it's down below. That's it. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Signing off, your lovely host. Have a good day. Bye.